On May 3rd, 2010, 7 friends set out on a thrilling cave adventure. They had no idea that their fun day would turn into a 15-hour nightmare, leading to one of the most intense cave rescues ever. This is the story of Brent Colvin, a 39-year-old computer whiz who almost lost his life exploring Thunder Canyon Cave. Let's dive into this gripping story about the dangers lurking in dark caves and how people can overcome seemingly impossible challenges. Thunder Canyon Cave is no walk in the park. Hidden in the eastern San Diego County, it's hard to find and even harder to explore. To get there, you need to drive on bumpy roads, hike for 2 miles, and then scramble over rocks. This cave is famous among cave explorers for being super tight, pitch black, and full of dangerous spots. The 7 friends who decided to tackle this cave were led by Luca Clabb, an experienced cave guide. With him were Brent Colvin, Heather, Steve, Jim, and brothers Ben and Brian. Each person had different levels of experience, but none of them knew just how tough this trip would be. Brent Colvin stood out in the group. He worked as a computer engineer, but had been exploring caves like Thunder Canyon for about a year. He was careful and liked to plan things out, just like he did in his job. Brent's wife, Raina, fully supported his cave exploration hobby. They even got married under an old, huge oak tree in their backyard, showing just how much they both loved nature and adventure. The group got to the cave entrance at 11 a.m. They were excited as they put on their wetsuits and got their gear ready. Their first big challenge was to go down a 45-foot drop through a waterfall into a freezing pool of water. This first part of the journey was both exciting and scary, giving them a taste of what was to come. As they went deeper into the cave, things got tougher. They had to squeeze through tight spaces, climb slippery rocks, and wade through ice-cold water. The cave seemed to get colder and scarier the further they went. Even the most experienced members of the group found it challenging. By 3 p.m., after hours of hard work, they reached a part of the cave known as the Terrible Traverse. This was a super narrow crack in the rock, only 9 inches wide. They had to slide through it sideways, and it went straight down for 200 feet. It was at this point that things started to go really wrong. As the group got to the Terrible Traverse, they were tired and cold. Steve, who didn't have much cave experience, tried to push through the narrow crack and got stuck. Everyone panicked for a bit, but after 10 tense minutes, they managed to get him out. This really scared Steve, and he wanted to leave the cave right away. Luca, seeing that some people were getting scared, decided to take Steve and 2 others out of the cave. He left Brent and Jim behind, saying that he'd come back for them. This quick decision would lead to even bigger problems later, as it left Brent to face a terrible traverse without their experienced leader. Brent, wanting to prove that he could do it, decided to try the narrow passage. Even though he was unsure and Luca wasn't there to help him, he went for it. He took off his safety harness to make himself smaller and started to squeeze through. This choice turned their adventure into a real nightmare. As Brent pushed himself into the narrow crack, he felt the hard rock pressing against him from all sides. His chest was squeezed tight, and his arms and legs were all twisted up as he tried to fit through. Suddenly, with a horrible feeling, Brent realized he was completely stuck. His face was pushed hard against the cold rock. He was sweating a lot, and he began to understand just how bad the situation was. When Luca came back and found Brent trapped in the Terrible Traverse, he knew that they were in big trouble. Luca and Jim tried their best, but they couldn't get Brent out of the tight spot. As time went on, Brent started to feel worse and worse. The cold rock was making his body temperature drop, and even stuck in that awkward position was really hurting his arms, legs, and chest. Luca realized that they needed professional help to save Brent. They had to make the tough choice. To leave the cave and go get help. Luca had to climb out of the cave, hike 2 miles to where they were parked, and drive to the top of the hill to get a cell phone signal. At 6:40 p.m., more than 5 hours after Brent got stuck, Luca finally managed to call 911. What happened next showed how people can work together in emergencies. Special teams from the Sheriff's Department, San Diego Fire Rescue Department, and Border Patrol all came to help. These experienced rescuers had their own challenges just getting to the cave entrance through the rough landscape. While the rescue teams were making their way through the cave, Brent was getting worse. He kept falling asleep and waking up, seeing things that weren't there, and talking nonsense. The rescuers knew that they had to hurry. The longer Brent stayed stuck, the more likely he was to get dangerously cold or have other serious health problems. Rescuing Brent was tricky and dangerous. The team had to work fast to free him, but they also had to be very careful not to hurt him anymore. They started by helping him right away, putting hot packs around him and giving him special drinks to help the dehydration and to warm him up. Then they had to figure out how to get Brent out of the narrow crack. The rescuers used their smarts and strength, using car jacks, ropes, and a wooden board to make a system to pull him out. Every time they tried to move Brent, he yelled in pain, but he was brave and kept yelling them to keep going, even shouting, "Keep going. I don't care if you break my ribs, just get me out." After many hours of hard work, the rescue team finally made enough space to pull Brent free from the terrible traverse. When they got him out, everyone felt relieved, but Brent was in pain and confused. Even after all he'd been through, Brent was still tough. After resting for a bit, he was even able to climb out of the cave on his own. Brent Colvin was finally rescued at 3:45 a.m. on May 4th, 2010. His story reminds us how dangerous cave exploring can be, but also shows how tough people can be when facing big challenges. Brent was stuck for 15 hours and ended up with cuts, bruises, and a new understanding of how fragile life is. He also learned how important it is to be well prepared and have good leaders when doing dangerous activities. What happened in Thunder Canyon Cave got cave explorers talking about how to be safer, why it's important to have experienced leaders, and how to plan better for rescues. It also showed how dedicated and skilled rescue workers are, risking their own lives to save others in dangerous places. This experience changed Brent Colvin's life. He still loved exploring caves, but now he had more respect for how unpredictable and dangerous they can be. His story serves as a warning to other cave explorers and shows how people can form strong bonds when they face danger together. This near tragedy could have been prevented with a few crucial precautions. What if the group had maintained stricter buddy systems, ensuring that no one was left alone in challenging sections? If they had brought more advanced communication equipment to quickly alert rescue services? Perhaps most importantly, what if they had more thoroughly assessed each member's skill level before attempting such a demanding route? Brent's story reminds us that even with experience and preparation, nature can be unpredictable. It underscores the importance of respecting our environment, knowing our limits, and always prioritizing safety over conquest. If you found this story as gripping and thought-provoking as we did, please consider subscribing to our channel. Hit that subscribe button, and if you want to hear more incredible tales of survival, daring rescues, and the indomitable human spirit, be sure to watch our next video. We'll continue to bring you stories that both thrill and educate, helping us all become more responsible adventurers. Remember, every adventure is a learning opportunity. Stay safe, stay curious, and we'll see you in the next video.